and welcome back to Talk Therapy channel on YouTube. I'm Tammy Fletcher, licensed marriage and family therapist in California, and today we're going to be talking about emotional unavailability. The topic of emotional unavailability comes up quite often when speaking with clients and friends and family, maybe more often than you'd think. We usually attribute that personality type to men. We think that they're the ones who are always emotionally unavailable, but that's not true. Women can be that way as well. Why do some people seek an emotional connection while others seem to do everything in their power to avoid it? Is there such a thing as emotional unavailability? As a clinician, yes, I think there is, but I don't see it as a pathological condition, at least not by itself. It's one way of being in the world and relating to other people. It can have everything to do with timing. Not everyone is looking for a committed relationship or to settle down. But how the emotionally unavailable person is affected by this tendency and how it affects others around them may create a need for further exploration. Where this tendency can get sticky is when you've got two partners. One of them is ready for an emotional connection and the other one isn't. They're on different pages. That's when you can start to see people getting hurt and relationships ending. There are two broad categories of emotional unavailability: permanent and chronic, or temporary and situational. And I'll explain what I mean by that. If someone is hardwired to build a wall around their emotions, this may have begun in childhood or from a past relationship or even from low self-esteem. In other words, if I don't let you close enough to me to see how flawed I really am, you won't reject me. There are any number of reasons that a person can have sort of a chronic way of being in the world where they are emotionally unavailable. Now, a more temporary or situational emotional unavailability may be a recent breakup, the death of a spouse or a partner, or something distracting such as a hugely important work project where they just literally do not have the time or energy to put their attention into a relationship right now. One more reason people may seem cut off emotionally can be mental illness. Disorders like depression can interfere with a person's ability to open up, to be consistent, or to connect with others. Now, whether or not that's permanent or temporary depends on the person and the condition. Let's talk about some signs of emotional unavailability. First, you may see evasiveness or a lack of transparency. You may not be asking to know every single move that the person makes, but they may not be where they're supposed to be, they may not follow through with what they say they're going to do, or they can disappear for days or even weeks at a time. Another sign is rigidity. An emotionally unavailable person may be unwilling to be flexible about things like the way they go through their day, their habits, the things they like to talk about. Basically control. By giving up control, they become vulnerable, and that's not comfortable and it doesn't feel safe. There may be an obsession with past relationships or with perfection. By being hung up on something that's unattainable, the emotionally unavailable person has a reason to remain detached and therefore safe. Acting on sexual impulses before there's an emotional connection is another sign of emotional unavailability. When the relationship gets real, they then begin to sabotage the connection. The final sign I'm going to talk about today is a reminder to you to pay attention. If someone tells you that they are bad at relationships, that they don't like to talk about or even feel emotion, or that they have a pattern, a history of distancing from others that they get close to, listen to them. Chances are they're telling you the truth, and that gives you a chance to take a step back, kind of look at where things are going and figure out what that means to you in terms of being in a relationship with this person. Now for a quote. There may be some confusion between physical and emotional intimacy. People who are emotionally unavailable may still try to reach out and create a physical connection with others. This may be more of a hookup than an actual relationship, but it does provide some of the benefits without requiring intimacy or commitment. This happens often enough now in our culture that we call it friends with benefits for both men and women. And for some people, depending on where they are in their lives, it can be an ideal arrangement. Perhaps neither person is looking for a relationship right at that moment, but they still enjoy the physical intimacy. But for the person who is emotionally available and finds themselves with feelings developing for this other person, just hooking up can feel superficial or empty or even demeaning. If they take the risk to ask for more, they may be told they're asking for too much, or to stop pushing, or promise that someday those feelings might be reciprocated, but not now. The person who is emotionally unavailable is doing what's preferable for them. So is the person who is looking for that emotional connection. So it's kind of a case of two people doing the best they know how, living in the world that's most preferable for them at that moment. But bottom line, sexual intimacy is not the same as emotional intimacy. Usually they go hand in hand, but not always. This can sometimes lead, when there's a disconnect, to what we call the distancer-pursuer relationship. And I've done a video on that. It's very common in my office. Clients will come to me to deal with the repercussions of that type of relationship. And I'll put a link in the down bar to my video talking about distancer-pursuer interactions. So what do you do if the person that you love is emotionally unavailable? First thing I would suggest is to take a step back and look at the relationship as objectively as you possibly can. Not all relationships work out. More than half don't make it. So ask yourself honestly, is this more a matter of incompatibility? Do we really not have anything in common? Or is the person genuinely emotionally unavailable? So that said, the prospect of setting out to change someone who is, for whatever reason, not willing or able to enter into an emotionally connected, committed relationship is difficult at best. It's easy for me to say, hey, the person you love is not ready to be in a relationship. They may never be. Save yourself, get out the lifeboats, and row safely to shore. But it's not so easy when you're the person with those feelings and you genuinely care about the other. When you're the person invested and hoping things will work out, it's difficult to really take a look at the relationship for what it is. But one thing that you can do, first and foremost, is to take care of yourself. You can't love someone into being emotionally available if they're not. But you can love yourself. You can take care of yourself, eat well, sleep well, surround yourself with people who love you and who want to be around you right now. That can do a lot of good for you, especially in terms of repairing any damage to your self-esteem that you might have experienced from this type of unbalanced relationship. Now I'm going to guess that the person that you're interested in who is emotionally unavailable is going about their lives like they always have. They're probably seeing their friends, they're working out, they're engaging in their life as they always have. So I would give you the same advice. Don't put your life on hold for anyone. Next, their lack of attachment to you is not your fault. Unless you're behaving like something out of the movie Fatal Attraction, in most relationships people do have feelings for one another and they express it. They're reciprocated. Wanting to feel a connection to someone that you love and care about is not a disorder. It's not pathological. It's a normal way of being in the world. At the same time, for them, so is their way. So setting out to change them can be a recipe for disaster. Acceptance is your best way of coping, as is focusing on what your needs and wants are right now, as well as setting some goals for the future that may or may not involve this person who is not available for you emotionally right now. If you need to reach out for professional support, I can tell you that this is not an uncommon reason that people seek therapy, to repair their sense of self and to move on when in a relationship people are on such different pages that they just can't stay together. I've included a short quiz on emotional availability in the down bar for anyone interested, and I thank you for watching this video. Please feel free to comment below on anything to do with emotional unavailability, and I look forward to seeing you next time.